Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 17, Text 15. Marking these and many other omens of evil times, everyone but the 4 sage sons of Brahma, who were aware of the fall of Jai and Vijay and of their birth as Diti's sons, was seized with fear. They did not know the secrets of these portents and thought that the dissolution of the universe was at hand. Srila Prabhupada's purport. According to Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, the laws of nature are so stringent that it is impossible for the living entity to surpass their enforcement. It is also explained that only those who are fully surrendered to Krishna in Krishna consciousness can be saved. We can learn from the description of the Srimad Bhagavatam that it is because of the birth of 2 great demons that there were so many natural disturbances. It is to be indirectly understood, as previously described, that when there are constant disturbances on the earth, that is an omen that some demoniac people have been born, or that the demoniac population has increased. In former days, there were only 2 demons, those born of Diti, yet there were so many disturbances. At the present day, especially in this age of Kali, these disturbances are always visible, which indicates that the demoniac population has certainly increased. To check the increase of demoniac population, the Vedic civilization enacted so many rules and regulations of social life, the most important of which is the Garbhadhan process for begetting good children. In Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna informed Krishna that if there is unwanted population, Varna Sankara, the entire world will appear to be hell. People are very anxious for peace in the world, but there are so many unwanted children born without the benefit of the Garbhadhan ceremony, just like the demons born from Diti. Diti was so lusty that she forced her husband to copulate at a time which was inauspicious, and therefore the demons were born to create disturbances. In having sex life to beget children, one should observe the process for begetting nice children. If each and every householder in every family observes the Vedic system, then there are nice children, not demons, and automatically there is peace in the world. If we do not follow regulations in life for social tranquility, we cannot expect peace. Rather, we will have to undergo the stringent reactions of natural laws. The import of Srila Prabhupada's comments in this purport are, to use a cliched word, staggering. If the people of the world could simply understand this point that Prabhupada is making here, the whole human society would be changed for the better. It's so monumental. It's this simple understanding that lust produces demons, and therefore Garbhadhan samskar is required to produce good children. And Prabhupada mentions that there are people are very anxious for peace in the world, and therefore they bring out marches and they write protests against war. A major issue in the American election was, what should America's position be in Iraq? Do we go on fighting for peace, or we pull out for peace? Is it like immediate peace, or if we if we pull out of Iraq, and then that may immediately bring peace, but then later on it may cause more disturbances. That's the logic that they proposed. But of course, they don't know the science of karma, as Prabhupada twice uses the adjective in this purport, stringent, to refer to the laws of nature. That book has been made, The Laws of Nature. What's the subtitle? An Inexorable Justice. Is that the term they use? Infallible. It's infallible and it's also inexorable. So there's another word you probably don't know. Inexorable means you can't escape from it. Inevitable. It's beyond our control. So, like this, should we vote for? Should the Americans maybe think, should we increase the military effort in Iraq, or decrease it, or withdraw it? Or we can have peace marches, or marching with a candle, releasing doves. These are symbolic for peace. First of all, you have to capture some doves, and then you release them, and it's a symbol of peace. But all these efforts are useless. We can understand from this purport. As Srila Prabhupada said, he came to America during the Vietnam War. And Prabhupada said that this is inevitable because you are slaughtering animals in the slaughterhouses. Therefore, your children will be taken away and slaughtered. It is unavoidable by the infallible laws of nature, stringent laws of nature. Stringent means you cannot avoid them. So it's such a hypocritical society. On the one side, they promote lust by having pornographic movies and pornographic magazines, and even the ordinary newspaper is almost like a pornographic magazine nowadays. And so, you want to see the news, and then you just open and there's some advertisement or whatever, and with a photograph which is specifically made to incite lust. And the fashion is such, it's promoted the fashion that women should walk around in clothes which leaves nothing to the imagination as to the shape of their body, because they're wearing tight jeans and tight t-shirts, and it's simply to promote lust. But then they complain that women are being molested. Well, they're walking around showing off every part of their body, and then they complain that they're molested. Is it not hypocritical? More rape. It's very bad, but they're promoting. They show it on the TV, and then they say, oh, it's very bad. It's increasing. What shall we do? You're creating the problem, and then you're worrying what to do about it. It's a hypocritical society. So they're promoting lust. From this purport, we can understand that even sex life within marriage is illicit sex if it's not done with the Garbhadhan sanskar. Just like we have here the story of Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, how they were born. From Kashyap, who is a great personality, and Diti, she's also not an ordinary woman, she's also daughter of a great sage. But because they conceived in lust without following the rules and regulations required, therefore they broke the law. They transgressed the law of nature which is meant for producing good children. And the result was they produced bad children. Children born of lust. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Dharma viruddho kamosmi, Dharma viruddho bhuta, Dharma viruddho kamosmi. What is that? Bharatarshava. No, there's another word too. Bhuteshu, yes. Dhammaviruddho bhuteshu, kamosmi bharatarshava. I am that. Krishna says that sex life, which is not against the principles of dharma, that is a representation of myself. But that sex life, which is only calm, without dharma, then that is the cause of unlimited problems in human society. Because the human society is made up of problems. Every person born in lust is a problem. So this whole society is made up of problems. And then disturbed because they want peace so that we can enjoy our lusty affairs in peace. But there's no peace. As Prabhupada used to say, that he used to say about the United Nations, if you put a bunch of dogs into a room, then how can you expect peace? So they're all in dog consciousness. Just like if you go past a house where they keep some dog, the dog will bark because he thinks, this is my property, don't come here. So in the same way, all the countries think, this is our land, this is under our control. You keep away, get out of here. So it's the same doggish consciousness. Then how can you expect any peace? There's no possibility of peace. Na shocham na pichacharo na satyam teshu vidyate. Persons who are born in lust, they have the demoniac mentality. They're neither clean, nor properly behaved, nor truthful. You cannot expect anything good of people who are born simply as a byproduct of someone's lusty desire. Vedic civilization means begetting of children was, you can understand from this purport, very serious. That they would, first of all, they would choose the right time. Sex life was for procreation, not for recreation. They would choose the time when the child is going to be begotten. It would be in the right time of the month, within the woman's menstrual cycle. Then they would have to consult astrologically what is a proper time for begetting. Then taking blessings from the seniors, elderly members of the family, guru, all this. And according to the directions of Shastra. Shastra, it's a very important thing. The Shastra also gives rules and regulations how to have sex life in such a way that good children will be produced. But no one knows anything about this nowadays. No one's interested to know. And therefore, children are produced in the same way that cats and dogs produce their children. Simply out of lust. Then what can we expect in human society? We can only expect chaos. As we are practically seeing now all over the world, that lust is being promoted more and more. And all totally wrong ideas about how to, social organization. Nate vidu swartagating hi Vishnu. They do not know that the only proper goal of life is Vishnu. And therefore they invent so many ideas based on the supposition that human life is meant for sense gratification. Now many of the things Prabhupada said, they are not at all acceptable in modern society. And in modern society, if you say these things, it will not be appreciated. For instance, that women in general should have a subordinate social role to that of men is not appreciated. Why? Men are simply exploiting women, exploitive culture. But as Prabhupada explained, the woman bears the child, therefore she has to be dependent on the man, because she has to look after the child. So she has to be, by the laws of nature, she's forced to be dependent. If she declares independence, then she's left in a difficult situation. Therefore the system that there should be husband and wife, and the husband should take responsibility, and the wife should serve the husband and look after the children. That's not only the Vedic system, but it's the natural system for bringing up children and living in society. But nowadays they say women should have careers and education, and they shouldn't marry until they have an MSc or a PhD or something like this. And then they're all... they should be free to mix up boyfriends and girlfriends, which means it keeps the abortion clinics busy. And it simply promotes a totally sinful society. If we say women should have careers, then it means they don't want to have children. They think, well, children are just a nuisance. Previously they used to think children, oh, it's very nice to have children. Now they think, oh, such a nuisance. Have an abortion. So actually this, traditionally everyone will think mother's love is so wonderful. But mothers don't want to have mother's love. They want to have boyfriend's love instead. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself more. How can you enjoy if you're just a housewife? They look down. They'll scorn, oh, housewife. You're just useless. You can't do anything in the world. But what women have to do is the most important thing, is to bring up the children. But because they think children are just a nuisance, they don't think children are important. Send them off to pre-kindergarten, and kindergarten, then go to school. And there's such wrong ideas. Prabhupada said that women, they should bear children as soon as they're able to, from the youngest age. Nowadays, according to law, that's called child rape in many countries. If a girl of 15 has a child, they call it rape. But the body is such, it's ready. It's ready for that. And instead, they wait till they're 25, 30, and they only want to have one or two children, whereas it's natural, the body is there, they'll have more children. So this bizarre society that you shouldn't marry till you're 25, it's very wrong to marry young. But then in the Western countries, we see, especially in the Western countries, it's quite normal that girls of 14, 15, they have children without getting married. So it's better they get married, isn't it? And then they get some money from the government. So the government is actually promoting prostitution. Prostitution means women are free to go here, there, everywhere, do whatever they like. Independent woman, Prabhupada said, means prostitute. If she's independent, that means she's allowed to go here, there, do whatever she likes. But in a cultured society, the only woman who's independent is a prostitute. And if she goes here, there, does whatever she likes, then she'll end up like that. So many boyfriends. But they protest. Oh, we don't like this, that we have to stay at home in the house. They won't agree. We have to go out and get a degree and show that we're as good as men. What is this nonsense? Man cannot be as good as a woman in the matter of bearing children. It's not possible. Of looking after children. Well, there's a different role. By body, there's a different role they have to play. But the demons, they do not accept all of this, and therefore there's so much suffering in human society. They don't even know how to live as man and wife in the modern age. They think even after marriage, you should have your own job and your own career. I know several cases of men who, after marriage, then they got transferred by their company, and the wife said, to hell, I'm staying here, I've got my own job. You go off somewhere else, I'm doing my own job here. I have to choose between my husband and my job, I'll keep my job. You can get another husband, there's no problem, there's plenty of men. It's not so easy to get another job. So rascal society. Very much rascal society. And they think this is good. They think they're making progress from the old times in which people were restricted. But that restriction is good. That restriction is for the benefit of everybody. The restriction that men should not mix up with women freely, it used to be only a short time ago that in India no man can just walk up to any woman and start talking to her. But now they've promoted through the TV and the cinema that in the college, in the school, they all just mix up and make jokes. But that was not allowed. No respectable woman would just start joking with any man, and no respectable man would just start joking with any woman. And then he's joking, and then after that everything else follows. That's the idea. So they're promoting lust. Whereas the Vedic culture was very restrictive, actually very restrictive. They say the restriction was bad, because then you can't enjoy yourself. But look what the so-called enjoyment leads to. It leads to so much suffering. Modern demoniac society, they think, well, we're very free to do what we like. But in Vedic culture, only the Brahmins are free to do what they like, because they're the only ones intelligent enough to do what is beneficial for them without some force, without some restriction. Because when the Brahmins are free to do what they like, but they don't go to discos and drink beer. They're free to do what they like because they know how to act in a manner which is conducive for their own spiritual advancement and for the uplift of human society. Therefore they're free to act. Otherwise, free to act means they also have to follow the Vedic rules. But the Vedic rules are enforced by the Kshatriyas. They enforce the Vedic rules because if people don't follow, and that is not good for them or for anyone else, well, I want to be free. But free to do what you like, that means that's the freedom of an animal. But they have no restriction. Whereas a human being should act according to restriction. The restriction means to restrict his lust. If we act, to do what I want to do means act according to my lust. And restriction is there to control our lust. If we just indulge in lust, then we become sinful. We go to hell, and we produce sinful population. So the whole modern society, they don't know even the most basic things, the most basic points of how to live as human beings. They've lost it. This basic point, how producing children is how to do so in a manner that good children will be produced. No idea whatsoever. No idea. They just think it's normal to have sex as much as you like. Or those who are a little bit more civilized, they do so within marriage. Although the massive AIDS problem in India suggests that there's quite a lot of people who aren't doing only in marriage. So, but even within marriage, if we think that, well, the main purpose of marriage is just that then you have a free license to have sex as much as you like, then this is just slightly up from animal life. That's all we can say. But we cannot expect anything auspicious from this. Even until recently, there are people I know, older people. For instance, there's one couple in Gujarat who they're over 70 years old now, but the man told me that we had 2 children, and then after that we followed brahmacharya throughout our lives. Not greatly spiritual person, but you can say ordinary pious Hindu in that respect. But they just understood that this indulgence in sex life simply for so-called pleasure, it's pig-like. Nayam deho bhajam riloke. What is that verse? Nayam deho deha bhajam riloke kashtam kama narhate virbhujam tapodevyam putraka yena sattvam shudyad yasmat brahma sokyam tvanam tam. Rishabdev, instructing his sons, the first thing he told them is, don't live like pigs, don't live like dogs, live like human beings. Human beings are not meant for animal-like indulgence in sex, but they are meant for tapasya, not tapasya like Hiranyakashipu, meant for demoniac, meant for becoming a great demon, but tapo divyam, the tapasya by which one can become a great devotee. By tapasya one gets power, either the power to become a great demon. Actually that means that one is actually not powerful, because one is under the power of Maya. But the real power, the real thing to be had from tapasya is the power to come out of Maya. But the demons, they think, let us do tapasya, and we shall become very powerful. For a few seconds. Hiranyakashipu, powerful for a few seconds, means a few years, but then smashed by the Supreme Lord. So this is the demoniac society. They think we're so liberal, we're so progressive, we're so advanced. But they're actually simply increasing the demoniac propensities. Trividham narakasvedam dwaram nashanam atmanaha kamah krodhas tato lobhas tasmat etat trayam chyajet. There are 3 great gates to hell, namely lust, greed and anger. Knowing this, an intelligent person should give them up. They destroy any question of spiritual advancement. It's, in modern human society, there's no question. People they have not the faintest idea or any interest in spiritual advancement. And what they call spiritual is just another kind of cheating. There's so many cheating so-called gurus. But they become gurus by giving people a process of calm, krodh and lobh, which with a little spiritual, so-called spiritual touch to it. But actually they're simply increasing their calm, krodh and lobh. So such important information this Krishna consciousness movement has to give to the whole world. First of all, our own devotees have to become convinced. If we're not reading Srila Prabhupada's books, if we're reading India Today, or if we're in the West, they read Time and Newsweek and New York Times and all this, then what happens is they start to think, well, actually the modern society has got a lot to offer. It's very good. We should follow it. Prabhupada wrote so many things, but after all, Prabhupada was a little bit out of date. He didn't really understand the Western people. So let us live in the modern world and be part of the modern world and chant Hare Krishna. That's a very good idea. But it doesn't work. You can't be a demon and be a devotee at the same time. We have to choose. We want to be in Vishnu's party or Hiranyaksha's party. At the moment, Hiranyaksha's party is having victory over all directions, so it seems. So it's a little difficult to be part of Vishnu's party. There'll be some persecution from Hiranyaksha's party, but the devotee should act on the platform of discriminatory intelligence and understand that Hiranyaksha's party is ultimately doomed. The only proper path, the only real dharma for the jiva is to come into Vishnu's party. So it's difficult. It's easier to live in the modern world and just not talk about many of the things that Prabhupada spoke about, and just to agree with all the things in modern society. Yes, it's very good, it's very good. Democracy is very good. We have the choice of voting either for cow killer A or cow killer B. So this is very good. Of course, in India, the previous Prime Minister, who was head of the religious party, was a meat eater, and the present Prime Minister, who's the head of the secular party, he's a vegetarian, right? Manmohan Singh, is he? Is it? Anyone know? Don't know. I heard he's a vegetarian. Is it? Yeah. But at the same time, they're allowing all these slaughterhouses and everything. So we should see through the eye of Shastra. Devotees were asking me, who should we vote for in the American election? Why vote? If you vote for either of them, that means you support them. Not that it makes that much difference anyway, which way our devotees vote. It's not that they're a great, huge vote bank. But it's a very unfortunate situation where you have to choose the leaders, you have to choose either this one or that one, and even in India they may be more pious, but they're blind as to the purpose of life. We should go and tell them that, my dear sir, by the grace of God you've got this big position, you better use it in His service. We should tell them. Of course, another way Prabhupada said is we should preach, and then there'll be so many devotees, and they can vote a devotee into power. Anyway, at the present time, we're a long way from that. But at least we should understand this. What is Krishna consciousness and what is demoniac life? As Prabhupada, just this point I was making, Prabhupada very clearly states in the purport in Bhagavad Gita, 16th chapter, that this idea of women having full independence to do whatever they like, it's actually it's a demoniac idea. It's against Shastra. And the result is chaos in society. Of course, men also shouldn't have independence. Men are also dependent. Men also have to follow the laws of Shastra as enforced by the Kshatriyas. They're also not independent. No one is independent. The only independent is Krishna. But this idea is that people should have as much independence, lot of independence. This is based on the supposition that people are basically good, which is not true, because we're in this material. Well, it is true, but in this material world, we're here because we've basically misused our independence, and we have taken on the perverted mentality that I should enjoy. And the result is modern society. It's a disaster and getting worse by the day. So this Krishna consciousness movement is not meant to be part of modern society. Rather, it is meant to change the society, to give real knowledge of how people can live with Krishna as the goal of life. But if fulfilling our lust is the goal of life, then we can expect that generation by generation we will revert more and more to the most bestial kind of existence imaginable or even beyond imagination. Hare Krishna. Is there any question about this? What's the answer? Distribute these books. Preach, tell people. Tell people. Don't just go and say, "Dear sir, give a donation, you will get Krishna's blessing." And tell them, speak to them. Philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. Don't cheat people by simply taking their money. Tell them. Tell them something that will be good for their own uplift.
Many devotees living in the modern society sometimes face situation where they have to some extent compromise.
That is the defect. Therefore, Prabhupada wanted to establish these farm communities, so we don't have to compromise with the demons. We don't have to live according to their demoniac ideas. But this idea is practically forgotten. Not even forgotten. Those who are joining ISKCON, no one ever tells them about this. We just say, yes, live at home, get a job, live like a demon and chant Hare Krishna. Work 12 hours, 14 hours a day. And then how are you going to do sadhana? And you have to live you have to work for demons and live among people who are just, their interest in life is simply to make money and enjoy it. So, it's very difficult for people to, maybe you can say karma mishra bhakti, something like that, but it's very difficult to develop pure devotional service. And then we encourage also, yes, you should have a good career and all that. Why good career? What is this nonsense? Wasting your time for trying to get ahead and get more and more money, but our goal of life is to be Krishna conscious. And then we say, yes, it's good for preaching, but we just say that, but actually it's just encouraging people's material desires, that's all. So in this way, though, not only individuals become compromised, but our whole society becomes compromised. We instead of telling that this educational system is a slaughterhouse, it's the worst thing you could do for your children, to send them to encourage them to have a so-called good education by which their head will be full of so much nonsense. Yes, we'll give blessings, have a pass. And we say that your study is your devotional service. I've heard that this is preached among certain circles, that doing your studies, it's devotional service. What is that? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam? Where is this? I don't find it. By hearing, Parikshit Maharaj became perfect. That's devotional service. By chanting, by Asaki, Shukadeva Goswami became perfect. Only by one process. So if we stop all Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam and only study, then we'll become pure devotees? It's actually preaching opposiddhanta because of compromising. We've compromised. It's easier, we may get many followers and everyone will say very nice and we can tell stories of Rasa Leela and everyone will think this is very devotional, but actually we're cultivating material desires. What else will we do if we're living among non-devotees? I'm saying, unless we are very... It's not impossible to be a devotee while living in the midst of this demoniac society, but very, very difficult not to compromise, actually. Therefore, we should make our own societies where devotees can live together. Or at least devotees should live close to a temple and come daily, hear the classes, do service, all these things. Otherwise we see so many householder devotees, they get up 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning, and then they rush off to the office. Then where is their sadhana? And where is the Krishna consciousness? What is the meaning to it all?
Meaning of Sukhi not necessary to live in this world. What is the actual role of secular knowledge?
What is the role of secular knowledge? The role of secular knowledge is to tie us up in this material world, to increase the illusion that that there's anything of any value in this world. That is the role of secular knowledge. If secular knowledge is cultivated subsidiarily to spiritual knowledge, that if it's understood clearly that the meaning of life is to understand who we are, we're servants of Krishna, and to come out of this material world, then along with that some knowledge of how to live in this world is required. But if we think that getting MSc, PhD, this is the goal of life, then we're in a big illusion, because it's not. The result of this way of thinking is that in your next life you become a dog or a cat or a pig or something like this. So it's a great illusion that you're becoming a big success by secular knowledge. You see people when they die, they put their picture on the newspaper. If they're a big success, they put their picture on the wall. Instead of putting their picture on the wall, they could put a picture of a big pig, because that's what he is now. That's the result of your secular knowledge, of not cultivating Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada was asked this. He was asked once on a live TV show that he was asked, according to you, what happens to someone if they don't take to Krishna consciousness? Prabhupada says they become a cat or a dog. That's the actual result. Not become cat or dog, they already are practically. But just at the moment there's a faint resemblance of a human being in the form of the present body that they have. I didn't speak plainly? No, secular knowledge should be pursued only as a subsidiary to spiritual knowledge. If we think that so-called material advancement is the goal of life, then we are in a big illusion. So some knowledge is required how to live in this world. Alright, but why we live in this world? We should live here for the purpose of getting out of it, of going to Krishna, of serving Krishna within this world. And yes, we are trapped in this horrible society. And yes, it may be difficult to come out of it very easily. But at the same time, we should be clear what the actual situation is. We should clearly understand that there's nothing auspicious in so-called career advancement or getting a so-called good job. If you get a so-called good job, you get some money, alright, but then you should use it in Krishna's service. Otherwise, if you get more money to not spend in Krishna's service, then you're making more offenses to Krishna. Householders or those who are earning money, they should not just keep all that money for themselves and put aside 10 rupees here and there for Krishna consciousness, but they should give out of their so-called earnings, because after all, everything belongs to Krishna anyway. They should set aside, actually Prabhupada said 50%, but at least a significant portion they should give for advancing Krishna consciousness. In other words, they should purchase books and distribute them, give donations to the temple, like this. Otherwise, that money simply binds us in this material world. What's your question? Greed is greed more lust. Well, greed, lobh and kam are very similar, there's no doubt. But kam, in general terms, means material desire. And in specific terms, it means desires for sense enjoyment. And even more specific terms means desires for sexual enjoyment. Whereas lobh means the desire to accumulate wealth and property and all this. So they're similar, but not exactly the same. How to overcome greed? Become greedy to serve Krishna.